The dust from 12 hours on the road seemed to cling to me as I stood on my brother's doorstep, my heart light with anticipation. Jake's smile, when he opened the door, didn't reach his eyes. "You made it. How was the drive?" "Long," I said, returning his quick hug, "but worth it. I can't wait for tonight." His face changed. "Tonight? The dinner was yesterday, Hannah. Didn't you get the message?" The floor tilted. I replayed his crystal clear invitation from 2 weeks prior. Saturday the 14th at 6 p.m. I'd circled the date, booked time off, and driven across 3 states. As I fumbled for my phone, no missed calls, no texts, I looked at his face. This wasn't confusion. It was intentional. My mother appeared, looking genuinely startled. "We didn't expect you to actually show up." The phrase, "actually show up," stole my breath. "Jake invited me. For tonight." My soon-to-be sister-in-law, Lisa, glided in. "We figured with your big career in Portland, you'd be too busy." She said career like it was a dirty word. Before I could respond, our neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, arrived with a casserole dish. "Thanks again for the lovely engagement party yesterday. The photos on Facebook were wonderful." Yesterday, Facebook. The words were nails. I felt the blood drain from my face. The betrayal unfolded with quiet precision. For dinner, they ordered Chinese takeout. As fragrant boxes were passed around, I watched, my stomach gnawing from the drive. There was none for me. "We had our big feast last night," my mother said simply. "We didn't think to order extra. You understand." I sat at the table with an empty place setting, a ghost at their feast, listening to them laugh over inside jokes from the party I'd missed. Later, as relatives visited for dessert, I sat curled in an armchair, numb. From 10 feet away, I heard my mother's confidential tone. "Hannah lives in her own world now. She can't keep track of family events." Aunt Marie clucked sympathetically. "It happens when they move away. They lose touch with what really matters." I had driven 12 hours. What more tangible proof of what mattered did they need? The final request came as they cleared plates. Jake pulled me aside. "Lisa and I are going out with friends to continue celebrating. You're here anyway. Could you watch the kids?" I stared. "You want me to babysit after you told me the wrong date?" He looked briefly abashed, then impatient. "Don't make a thing out of it. You're already here." That night, on their couch, I heard Lisa's voice through the kitchen window. "Some people just don't prioritize family. Hannah's probably relieved she missed it." In that moment, hurt solidified into cold understanding. This was a test, a cruel, orchestrated test to prove a point I never knew I needed to prove. They thought I was the scattered, career-obsessed sister. What they didn't know was that details were my currency. As a graphic designer, I lived by proofs and documentation. While they saw a woman trying too hard, they didn't see the quiet archivist. I had screenshots of the original text thread, Saturday the 14th at 6 p.m. I had a voice memo of him repeating the date. I had photos of my calendar, flight confirmations, and the hotel receipt. During a strained call about dress code, I'd even snapped a picture of the family calendar in my mother's kitchen, the one where engagement party on the 15th was crossed out, with 13th written boldly over it in Jake's hand. They had planned this. It was a trap. The next morning, the charade continued. Jake joked loudly on the phone. "Hannah got the dates mixed up again. Maybe all that solo living is making her scatterbrained." My mother sighed on another call. "Maybe this will finally make her realize she can't ignore family." The breaking point came that afternoon. With performative regret, Lisa said, "We scheduled a makeup photo session, Monday morning. You can change your ticket, can't you, since you came all this way?" They wanted me to lose more money and miss more work for their consolation prize, a prize for a race they'd tripped me in. I smiled a tight, professional smile and said I'd look into it. Upstairs, I didn't look at flight changes. I booked an earlier one for the next morning and packed. At dawn, I called a rideshare. As I loaded my bag, Jake's car screeched to a halt. Where are you going? Your flight isn't until night. I'm going home. But we haven't had any real time. You had real time yesterday at your party, the one on the 13th. He flushed. There was obviously some confusion. It was chaotic. No confusion. I handed him my phone, scrolling through the evidence, the texts, the calendar photo, the receipts. During a strained call about dress code, I'd even snapped a picture of the family calendar in my mother's kitchen, the one where engagement party on the 15th was crossed out, with 13th written boldly over it in Jake's hand. They had planned this. It was a trap. Lisa hurried out, her robe flapping. "We were just trying to see if you really cared," she blurted. The truth hung in the quiet air. I looked at my brother. "Congratulations, you found out. I care more than you do." "Hannah, don't be dramatic," Jake snapped. "We can work this out." I opened the car door. "I drove 12 hours to celebrate you. You lied, excluded me, let me go hungry, tried to use me for childcare, and now you're calling me dramatic for not appreciating it. The only drama here is how desperately you needed to hurt your sister to feel loved." I got in the car and shut the door. I did not look back. On the flight home, I blocked the flurry of excuses and gaslighting texts. A few decent relatives later reached out with genuine horror and apology. Their validation was nice, but not necessary. The fallout was ironic. As the truth spread, other family members began to reevaluate their interactions with Jake and Lisa. Their position as the stable, family-centric children began to tarnish. I stopped bending over backwards. I stopped missing work for every minor event. Invitations were now met with clear, direct questions. Is this the correct date? Should I plan to eat beforehand? I set boundaries not with shouting, but with the quiet force of a woman who now trusted her own records over their narratives. I finally understood. I had spent years trying to prove my love across miles, believing effort was the currency of care. But they weren't bankers. They were gamblers, constantly raising the stakes in a game I could never win. My love was not a seed to be nurtured by them. It was a flower I had been trying to plant in barren soil. I uprooted it and brought it home. Now it grows in the peace of my own life, in the chosen family of friends who celebrate my arrivals without tests, and in the profound, unshakable respect I finally hold for myself. Love shouldn't come with trick questions. Family shouldn't be a court where you're perpetually on trial. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the bench, leaving the gavel behind for good.